In this video, I'm going to show you how to winterize your RV with RV antifreeze. If you've heard you need to dump pink juice down your drains in your RV, this video is for you. If you're looking for a video with more details on how to winterize your RV using compressed air and RV antifreeze, you'll want to check out the video I have on that. It's in the RV Winterization playlist linked in the video description below. Now I'm going to show you what you need for doing the winterizing process. So come on over a little closer. We'll need some RV antifreeze. And one commonly asked question is, what type of antifreeze do I get? People know what antifreeze word is, but there's RV antifreeze. So you look on the front of this, it says RV and marine antifreeze. This is non-toxic, so if it spills on the ground, it's not going to kill the plants and animals. You technically could drink this, I wouldn't, but this is a different type of antifreeze than your car antifreeze. If you try to putting that into your RV system, you'll have all sorts of problems. So make sure you get the RV antifreeze. For a smaller RV, 2 gallons is usually enough. Sometimes you need 3 or 4 for bigger RVs. Besides the antifreeze, you'll need some towels for cleaning up, some rubber gloves for working. The magic of video, I forgot to talk about the water heater tools. So depending on the water heater you have, it's a different size socket. So this is an 1.16" socket or a 15/16 socket. Those are the 2 most common sizes out there. And if an RV was not built with a pump bypass kit, you would need one of these winterizing kits like this to suck the antifreeze into the system. And I'll link this below if you need one. Now, let's go outside to get the process started. Here we go. Okay, got my gloves on, sunglasses, because the sun is bright. I barely can see the camera. Now, the first thing to find is your fresh tank drain. It is usually near your fresh tank fill area. So this is where you fill your fresh tank in this RV, your freshwater connection. So I'm going to look underneath of here. It should be one single line. So come on underneath. Now here's one single line near our fresh tank drain. So we'll pull this cap off. Whatever is in there should drain. I think it was already empty from last year actually in this RV. So I'm going to leave that off until I'm all done. Then I'll come back and put that on. Now, if you had a full tank, sometimes they take quite a while to drain. That's why I do that first. So that way I can get all that water out of it while you're working on other things. Next on my list is draining a water heater. So we'll find the water heater, which is right here. Nice and convenient. You need to make sure it is turned off first. So, if it has a switch down here, we could turn that off. That's the electric function. It doesn't have a switch here. So I'm going to go inside to make sure the switches are off. So come on around. So here is our water heater switch to turn it off. So that is off position right there. If your water heater has both gas and electric options, you want to make sure both of those switches are turned off, because if you have the electric element on and your water heater is drained, you will burn out your electric element. One precautionary thing you could do, if you can't find a switch or not quite sure, you go down to your circuit breaker panel box and find a circuit breaker labeled water heater, or sometimes W/H, and turn that circuit breaker off. That way, if someone accidentally hits a switch, it doesn't turn the element on and burn it out. Now we need to drain the water heater, and we have a Suburban water heater. You can tell by looking at the sticker on the right hand side, but this plug down here in the bottom is our anode rod. For that, we need an 1.16" socket. Now on your RV, your water heater would be full. In this RV I'm winterizing, the customer already drained the water heater, so no water is going to come out of this, but I'm going to explain the process to you so that way you know how to do it with a full water heater tank. Now if you just had a water heater on, the water will be hot inside of the water heater tank. So the process at that point would be turn off the switches to the water heater so it's no longer heating, and then go inside, open up a hot water faucet, kitchen sink, bathroom sink, or both. Let the water run for a while until it's cool coming out of the faucet. Once it's cool coming out of there, you've cooled all the water down to the tank, and there's no more risk of burning yourself when you remove the plug or the anode at the bottom. So once that is done and cool, we'll take our ratchet and socket and loosen up the anode. And when we pull these out, we'll inspect them. That way we make a note for next spring if we have to change it or not. This anode has lots of life left into it. If it was depleted, if you see that little white spot in the middle, if it was down to that small, it would be gone. So this guy here is a good 90% left in it. So we will put this right up here. And no, I do not put the anode or the plug back in. I leave that out for the winter time. That way any water left in the bottom will evaporate out of the water heater because I have seen it when the plug is put back in, that little bit of water left in the bottom can freeze and break the water heater. So by leaving this out, eliminates that risk. Next up, we need to find the low point drains, which I believe are on the other side. Now I found the low point drains at the back corner. Usually you'll see a sticker on the side of the RV that says low point drain. This case doesn't have it. By looking underneath, I was able to find them. So we look for the red and the blue lines that are close to each other. On these, I will pull the caps off. Now we're going to let those drain, and to help them drain a little bit more, to get more water out of the system before we put antifreeze into it, I'm going to go inside and open all the faucets, and then gravity will help pull that water out and more water will come out of these low point drains. Now that we're inside, I'm going to open up the faucets. So hot and cold, you hear that gurgling? Air is being sucked through this backwards and it's coming out the low point drain, because your low point drain is supposed to be the lowest point inside of your water lines. Now let's go to the bathroom, just open up the faucets. You'll hear some air going into those faucets. The shower, same thing. Now if we go outside, we will see a little bit more of a puddle where the low point drains are located. Okay, looks like it's done draining. So now at this point, we're ready to put antifreeze into it. But first, we need to put our low point drain caps back on so we can pressurize the system. Now let's go inside and close our faucets. And the last thing to do before putting antifreeze in the system is make sure your water heater is in bypass mode. So typically in the back of the water heater, there'll be two valves. Some RVs will have some valves towards the outside that'll be labeled water heater bypass. Every RV is different in a lot of these aspects, but the most common setup is right behind the water heater. And this one is underneath the bed. As you can see, I have a strap to hold this up because mattresses are heavy. They don't put these in the most convenient locations a lot of times. And you might have to do a little bit of searching to find them, but you're looking for the back of the water heater where those valves will be located. And if you can't find them, you can do some searching on Google, put in your RV name, make, model, year, and hopefully somebody has some information out there or a video showing you where to find them. Now let me show you where these valves are located. I'll get my flashlight out so you can see. Now on the back of the water heater, we have two valves. So if you were just using your water heater, you would know the water heater is not in bypass. So we need to turn those valves the other direction. So in this case, we're going to turn them to the left. Now that valve is in line with that hose, and the water will bypass around through this hose and out through the cold side, not going in through the water heater. And if you're not quite sure, you can look on the tag, which is on that water heater bypass hose right there, and it'll give you instructions on which way to turn the valves. Now, every once in a while, I come across an RV that doesn't have a water heater bypass valving setup on it. If that's the case, and your lines go straight in the tank, and there is no other valve anywhere on the RV, at that point, you need to add one of these kits in, which involves plumbing it into place. If that's a little bit too advanced for you, you'll have to work with your dealership, or you can call a mobile tech to come out on site and take care of that for you. Now we're to the point to put antifreeze into the system, and to do that, we need to locate the water pump. The trick I use for that is finding the water heater pump switch. We will turn that on and listen for the water heater. That way you can locate it. So turn it on for a minute and listen. So I hear that up towards the front of the RV. So I'm going to go up there and locate the water pump. Now our water pump is down by the freshwater tank, which is also right behind the water heater where we just were at. So let's take a look down here to see what we're working with. So here is our water pump. And on this one, we have a valve here with a hose on it. So what this hose does, if you look at the other end of it, it's typically nothing on that end. This is our antifreeze hose. If your water pump setup does not have one of these on it, that's where that winterization kit I showed earlier comes into play. You will put that in place on the suction side where the water goes into the water pump. That way you can turn a valve and put a hose on it into your antifreeze jug. So in this case, I'm going to come down here to this valve. I'm going to turn it upwards towards that hose. Now I'll grab my antifreeze jug and put this into it. And if you watch my other winterization video I told you about, that one is on a different camper in a much easier to access location. This is a great setup because a lot of RVs are not easy to access some of these things. Now we'll take our antifreeze jug, leave a cap on it first, because sometimes you got to tip it over to put it in there. Now once it's down here, we'll pull the cap off, take our hose, stick it in there all the way so we can get all of the antifreeze out of it. Now we will go back to our pump switch and turn it on. And if we are watching this jug, we'll start seeing the antifreeze go down. That is a pump sucking the antifreeze into the system. Okay, our system is now primed. So right now all the faucets are off, and you saw the antifreeze jug was sucked down most of the way. Depending on the size of your RV, you might take about a good half a gallon, almost a full gallon, just to prime the system with antifreeze. Next up is going through our faucets one by one. When we go to our faucets, you'll open up one valve at a time. Doesn't matter hot or cold first, but do one at a time until you see pink coming out. I let it run for a little bit until I saw a nice steady stream of pink coming out of there. Now we'll go to our hot side. You can see when it first started, you had the pink come out, then you had a burst of air, back and forth with some air and a little bit of water mixed into it before I saw a pure mix of antifreeze coming through there. If you're doing this system just like we're doing, make sure you run the faucet enough to get all the water pushed out of it until you have pure pink antifreeze coming out of the faucet. Next to the bathroom. So all of these will be the same setup. I'll do one knob at a time till I see pink coming out, turn that off, and switch to the other one. Oh, my jug is empty. I can hear the pump change tunes, so I'm going to turn off the switch here, go over, change my jug, and come back to the cold side. Don't let me forget that. So pull our hose out of the other jug. New jug is ready. Put our hose into it. Pop a little foil top off it. Now we'll go back, turn the water pump on, and continue where we left off. Now I'm back to the bathroom. Turn the water pump switch back on. I can hear the pump going. Turn our cold faucet on. It'll take a minute to build some pressure in the pump. What I'll do is I'll turn the faucet off. After I turn it on the first time, I can hear the pump pressurizing. The pump now shut off. The pressure is in the system. Now I'll make sure I have good antifreeze coming out. That looks good. And what I do on the showers is I'll lay the shower wand in the bottom. That way it drains things out. Because if you hook it up here to start with, it just drips pink antifreeze all over the place. When I go to dump antifreeze in the drains, I'll hang that up. Okay, next up is a toilet. This is one of the things that people, even using antifreeze, sometimes can mix up a little bit. You got to make sure there's plenty of antifreeze going into the toilet. So when I do this, I'll fill the bowl up part way and flush it, and then exercise that pedal a couple times. That way all that antifreeze is ran through all parts of that valving system. And then it's fully protected. So come on down. Now everything is done inside of the RV. Next we'll go outside. If there's an outdoor shower faucet, we would do that. This RV does not. But then we will do our low point drains. Before I do low point drains, what I'll do is I'll turn the water pump switch off. I will depressurize the system. So I'm going to open up this bathroom faucet right here. That way when I open up those low point drains, I'm not getting sprayed with antifreeze. So let's go on outside, back to those low point drains. Okay, just like before, we will take the caps off the low point drains. If you saw that, the water changed from a clear color to the pink color. Now we know there's antifreeze all the way through these lines, so I'll go ahead and put the caps back on. Okay, one last thing to do on the outside of the RV. You might need 2 people for this, but let's go over where the city water hose would hook up. Now we're looking at the city water hose connection. Behind this is a little check valve. We have to take this screen washer out of here and kind of roll it with your thumb and your finger to pull that out. If you look in there, you see a little white button. Now that is your check valve for your city water, and you do not want to push that when there's pressure in the system. And we just came from a low point drains, and the system is depressurized. So if I push my finger on that, I should see a little bit of pink antifreeze come out. If I don't, what I would do is hold my finger on this and have someone go inside and turn the pump on for 2 seconds. See a little bit of pink antifreeze come out. After that point, they would shut the pump off and take our finger off this. Now that is done, you can see the antifreeze just came out of that. So we'll take our screen washer, put that back in, put our cap back on. Now we have antifreeze throughout the whole system. Let's go inside and take our antifreeze jug out of there. Let me show you one tip when we're doing that as well. Now we're done sucking antifreeze in, so make sure you turn that valve that you turned to suck antifreeze in back to the way it was when you started. That way next spring, when you put water in your freshwater tank, you'll be ready to pump, and you're not going to be confused why it's not pumping any water. So we'll pull our hose out of our jug. That'll just lay down in there. Pull our jug out. So we use that much antifreeze with this RV, so I need to get a 3rd jug to dump some down the drains. All right, now I have my 3rd jug of antifreeze. We're going to start at the kitchen sink. We're going to dump some down the sink, because below the sink will be a P-trap drain. We want to make sure that there's plenty of antifreeze in that P-trap so it doesn't freeze and break. It doesn't take a lot, but we need enough down there. You can see I use about that much in that sink. If you're not quite sure, it never hurts to use a little bit more. Now we'll do the same thing in the bathroom. We'll do our sink. We'll do our toilet. Now with the toilet, there's not a P-trap. So in this case, I'm just leaving it on top of the seal so it doesn't dry out. Over to the shower. Treat this just like one of the sinks. So I use all but that much of that gallon in the 2 sinks, shower, and toilet. Now I'll grab my towel to clean up the sinks in the shower. Now I don't know for sure if pink antifreeze will stain things, but as an RV tech, I don't want to leave a mess of someone's RV. I'd rather leave it clean. That way I'm not risking something staining and having issues inside of a customer's RV. Now one more thing to do, let's make sure our gray and black tanks are drained. So let's go over there and talk about that. Now we're down by our gray and black tank drains. So where your city sewer hose hooks on, and you normally would drain out of here, you would need to make sure everything is drained in the system. Let's talk about this for a second. So this RV, the gray and the black tanks were emptied before we got here, but I ran some stuff through the sinks, showers, and toilets, so there's going to be a little bit of water left in there. If you haven't drained your black and your gray tank yet, your tank is full of stuff in there. You just take the cap off and drain it on the ground, you're going to have a mess. You need to make sure you properly drain your tanks. If you don't have a hookup at your house, you might need to go to a dump station or a place like that so you can drain your holding tanks. In this RV, it was already drained beforehand, so I just have a little bit of water and antifreeze that I put down the drains that you saw during this video. So I'm going to get a bucket, I'll catch that, and put it into the city sewer. Now we're at the end of the video, and if you've watched all this, you said this is way too much, way too complicated for me, you might want to call someone to come out and help you. So you can find a mobile tech near you and a locator. I will link that down below. You can also take your RV to a dealership. They do this stuff there all the time as well. And there's going to be some frequently asked questions on this video. So let's hop over to the other side where my head isn't quite kinked over to the side and out of the sun and go through those. Frequently asked question number 1. What should I do with my RV batteries? Well, ideally, you take your battery out, take it into your garage where it's going to be plugged in and put a battery tender on it over the winter. That will maintain the battery and keep it in good, healthy shape. If you don't have a way to take it out of the RV, you can disconnect the switch on your battery or take the negative cable off the battery so it can sit there and not discharge. And the second question I get all the time is about your slide outs. People want to know if I can just leave those out for the winter so I don't have to move things inside of the RV and pack stuff up. Well, if you're in a snow area, I definitely would bring your slide outs in, because snow on top of the slide outs, it would kind of be like a house where if you have a snow build up in a valley and things freeze and that ice works its way back in, and it will leak inside of your RV because when snow melts and ice goes different directions. So I would close the slide outs, bring everything in, so that way you're not worrying about water leaking on your slide outs. And the third question, I just bought my RV and have not used the ice maker. Does it need to be winterized? Yes, because if you just bought it, the dealership would have gone through your RV and tested things, make sure it worked. So they put water through that system. So make sure that is winterized. And if your RV has things like an ice maker, a washing machine, a dishwasher, a tankless water heater, some different things that this RV didn't have, when I have videos on those, I'll put those in the RV winterization playlist. And you can find anything about RV winterizing in that playlist. Now to help you out, we put together a checklist for you. You'll find it in the description of this video. You can download it, customize it to fit your particular RV. That way it helps you follow along and not miss any important steps. So make sure you go down in the description to grab that checklist. Thanks for watching and stay warm this winter.